Subham. Raul. Awesome.
Hey, Heidi.
Hey, Anand. Oh, is it the case that, am I hearing you clearly today? Is this fresh bandwidth?
No, actually, today I'm home.
Okay. Okay. Well, it's working good so far. All right, good. Good. Subham is with us. Yeah, that guy just whipped out like 3 PRs in a row in the last, 30 minutes. That's pretty great. And then good. There's Nikhil.
Hi, sir.
Hey, hey.
It's been a long time since I joined.
Yeah. you,
Actually, I was busy with some work, and today I returned back home. So that's why I was able to.
very good. Okay. Yeah, I'm excited about your next focus on the Meshery
Western
UI.
notification. Yeah, I'll be looking on that from now onwards.
Yeah, that'll be
To solve that issue.
it'd be a nice challenge. It'll be a definite improvement too.
Yes, sure.
Nice. And I know we're waiting just kind of a couple of minutes for others to join. But as we do, I'll note that I put the meeting minutes into the chat in Hangouts. So please do go in and record your attendance if you would. And actually record anything else that you want in there. I'm just going to do some updates while we're waiting.
Hey guys, this is Ramesh here. It's been a while.
Hey
I thought I'll
Ramesh.
just jump in.
Hey.
Yeah, so I have been so crazy busy. Okay, I thought at least I would like to be in touch and see what's going on. And this week my project will be ending, so after that I'll become slightly freer. So that's good for me. And just thought I'll give you a heads up about it.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, that's good for us too. But
Yeah.
but yeah, no, happy to have you just hang out as well. Like it's great.
Yeah, it's like just the age of Dockers and containers and all that stuff. Some of the companies, oh my god, they're in like some old technologies, man. I mean, I was there last night working till 12 o'clock just to fix my laptop because they took away the privileges and now we can't even use DMZ URLs. Simple things, it's not actual productive work, it's more like working to make it productive.
Yeah, I feel your pain. That's in part why we have this project here, is to get an escape. It's pretty bad. Sorry, I'm just taking some attendance, but if you don't see your name on here, please jump in and add it. I think actually
Sure, actually I am on the phone, so I'm not sure if I can do it, but then I will do it a little later if you want.
Oh, very good. Ramesh, I got you. And then also,
cool.
I'm getting Rahul down as well. So Rahul, fantastic to have you. I'm very glad that you joined today. This is great. Oh yeah, and Rahul, I think you're in Central Time Zone, coming out of Guadalajara. And then, just in case you're trying to speak but you can't, you're muted at the moment, so you'll have to unmute to talk. Oh, very good. Yep, you are. Okay. Yep. Okay, so good. So Rahul is kind of working on audio, but as he is, just a quick introduction to the rest of the group here. I had the good fortune of being able to spend this last weekend in Guadalajara, spending some time giving a workshop on Istio and how to contribute to the Istio community. We introduced Meshery to the group there. It was a great workshop because it was a bit smaller in size, which meant that people got to ask questions and get them answered. And Rahul was there, so he's jumping in with both feet with us today. This is great. The other nice thing.
Hey, Lee, next time if you do any workshop similar to that, I would like to be part of it if you're okay with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. We actually have one coming up. The challenge with the one coming up is that it's in Montreal and they don't have a remote experience. That said, I know it's not as nice as doing it live, but if you go to layer5.io/workshops, there's the content of the workshops is there. So the slides, the self-paced labs, and then actually there are some recordings of a couple of them that we've given in the past that will be linked off of that page. So yeah, it's not as nice, but you may very well get something out of those as well. But note taken. I'll be sure to we'll mention them on this call. And so actually, so to get into the call and to mention that, so Girish will be presenting in Montreal next Friday. We had a couple of discussions with other open source communities. One this last week with the Service Mesh Interface spec community. That Service Mesh Interface that I'm highlighting it now in the meeting minutes is an API specification. It's an abstraction intended to provide people with a single API surface with which operators could interact with that API, and behind the API, they could be running any one of these different service meshes. And so that's actually, that's very much so interesting to Meshery and what Meshery is about. And so Meshery is a partner of that specification. I know we've talked about it in the past. There's been an ask from that community for Meshery to be a conformance tool, for Meshery to be used to validate implementations of that specification that people have done. And so if there's volunteers on the call, or if people kind of dig in, that the links to that are in the meeting minutes. And so yeah, if that interests people, much help is needed there. Okay, I was keeping my fingers crossed that Kieran might be able to join today. He was going to demonstrate the homebrew formula that he created for Meshery CTL. And we don't have Kieran on the call, do we? Just checking. Okay, so maybe not that demo for today. On a related note, though, we did do a new release that was really because of some work on Meshery CTL. So the new release is version 01.5. Meshery so Anand had been working on enhancements in Meshery CTL, and we might do well to demonstrate those. Actually, maybe we'll circle back and demo those after we get through the topics here. I think part and parcel to that is the notion that we would have, the project itself would have different release channels. So right now, if you download Meshery, you get the latest release. And that should be the stable release. We also do, the project is built every time someone pushes to GitHub. Every time that they push to GitHub or every time that they have a PR merged, all of the project artifacts are built. And those are made available as well, but those aren't necessarily considered stable releases. So we're going to create two release channels, one that's stable and the other one that's more of an edge, more of a development channel, that people who are using Meshery can decide which channel they want to use. And that kind of depends on whether or not they're a user and want to just use stable things, or if they're more of a developer or want to look at emerging features, they can opt in for the Edge branch, Edge release channel. So in the meeting minutes, it just highlights the fact that there's work to be done there. And actually, now that I say it, I'm realizing I poked Raul. I think I poked you earlier kind of on this subject, just noting some of your DevOps savvy.
Yeah.
And so I'll plant that seed. Maybe that's an area of interest for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe some existing skills to use, but some new ones to kind of sharpen. Because the part of what's included here are the project uses GitHub Actions for its CI process, which I'll make a bet that's maybe new to you, and so it would be maybe an interesting area to jump into.
Yeah. Actually, yeah.
Oh,
This
nice.
is like Action has like 2 weeks, right? Since it was released to the public.
Oh yeah. Okay, well, good. I'm taking a note that we need to. There's one piece of literature. There's a document that talks about the build and release strategy for the project that we should make sure that you've got access to, and would be helpful in just kind of bringing you up to speed and describing what the goals are and describing what's left to be done. Raul, and hopefully everyone on the call, everyone has an access to the community team drive. Is that right? So like in your when everyone goes into Google Drive, you should see like a shared drive, one called Meshery. And actually,
oh, I didn't check that. I will check that.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, no, Ramesh, yeah, it's a great, it's where our meeting minutes are stored, but it's also, it's a good wealth of information about the project itself. So, so Raul, do you see that when you go to Google Drive?
Yes, I have access to that document.
Nice. Okay, good. You know, feel free to comment liberally. Feel free to, you know, to engage in there. Don't hesitate.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. So we are just other quick updates. We're this close to having the Octarine adapter promoted to stable. And actually maybe Garish, you can help me on some of these meeting minutes, but promoted to stable. And that really is just Chaim is going to update some documentation and we'll release that adapter. So that will be the 4th stable adapter. And I'm going to stop typing, Garish, so you can. I'll also note that I think most of you are familiar with the landscape, the layer5.io, not Meshery, but layer5.io. That site has a landscape, and I'm sharing it on the screen. And it's just, a collection of facts, if you will, data about the various meshes and various technologies related to service mesh. And it gets referenced quite a bit. And actually, as of late, I think we've seen like at least 2, if not 3 we've seen 2 new service meshes get announced, and a 3rd announcement around a new offering of a managed service mesh. So we're seeing lots more emerge from the woodwork. And as such, there are 8 open pull requests on the landscape itself. So that's good. We need to go back and curate the list. Actually, I think I mentioned it last time we met, but Forrester had reached out, I think in part based on the landscape, and is now including Meshery in an upcoming research paper that they're going to publish. Along those same lines, I actually want to share something else with all of you, because this, at some point, I think most of you already do, but at some point, all of you, this will resonate with that, or rather, you will feel like this is representing you and you are representing it. So I'm sharing right now a sample cover of the upcoming book to be released, Istio Up and Running. So this should be published here in the next, 3-ish weeks or so. And which is, the reason I mention it is, 1, just because it's personally exciting to me, but 2 is because, let me share this. That was the cover, but here is hopefully everyone can see this. Here's the draft of the book itself. It's kind of in its to be published format. And I wanted to highlight to you guys that there's a couple of sections in the book that actually call out Meshery specifically, talk about what it is and the fact that there's a community of contributors advancing it. So this call out, can everyone see that? Am I sharing the right document? Okay, Girish is nodding his head, so good.
Yep, it's good.
Okay. So there's a call out here in chapter 3, but even more, there's a couple of call outs actually, but even more than that in chapter 11, which is about troubleshooting Istio. We actually tell people how it is that they can install Istio. How they can install Meshery. If I go to the right page, yeah. Troubleshooting with a management plane, which is what Meshery is. Here's how you install Meshery. Here's where you get it. And in the instructions, by the way, it says to download and install Meshery CTL. Right. So Anand and Sako and others that have been working on the Meshery bash script to install it. Well, the book is going to highlight Meshery CTL, and so the bash script is like this close to being gone. I think with the release that was just made this week, thanks to Anand's work and Girish's work, Meshery CTL will now be the only way to interface with, from the command line to interface with Meshery. So I just wanted to highlight it, that this is much, much more than my success. This is something for all of you to be proud of. I mean, there's some screenshots of Meshery in the book. So yeah, get excited. Okay.
Awesome, Lee.
Yeah. No. I mean, the reason awesome, Sako, for having created Meshery CTL in the first place.
Yeah, I think we still have room to do, but once. Yeah. I think we'll get there.
Yeah, Anand. So actually, I had said, hey, maybe it was appropriate to demo Meshery CTL, its latest enhancements, and since we're talking about it, let's do that. Let me bring up a terminal, and well, now that I say it, I don't even know where I've got the latest copy of Meshery CTL. So let me bring that up, and I'm only going to demo it on Sako and Anand's behalf, because Anand has limited bandwidth today, limited internet bandwidth. So I'm going to go into the Meshery repository. I'm going to, well, you know what? Maybe I should back this up. Let me change this and share what will hopefully be everyone's experience going forward. So going forward, people will, I think some of our documentation needs updated, but people will go to the website, they'll go to run Meshery. We'll update from the script to Meshery CTL. When we do, people will essentially, what will be facilitated is the download of the latest release of Meshery. Right now, those releases, the artifacts that are being stored on GitHub is just Meshery CTL, which is just the CLI, not necessarily the other Docker containers that contain Meshery and its adapters. So I'll do this manually, go out and grab the x64 version since I'm on a Mac. I'll download this package. The package contains essentially just the Meshery CTL and that's weird. It's weird. I've got a bit of an issue with the package itself, actually, when I try to expand it. Can someone else who's running? Yeah.
Yeah. Hi. I just have Meshery CTL anyway for the very short demo. I've already, it's on
Oh, nice.
on Ubuntu WSL2 right now. But if you want,
no, yeah.
if you know what I can show, maybe before I go full demo, then I can just run it. It's okay.
Yeah, please. Yeah, because yep.
Okay. You want right now or?
Yeah, if you would.
Yeah, of course I can. I always can. Always ready. What else?
That reminds me
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, let me maybe just do something for now. Okay, like that and like that. All right. So this is the Windows terminal, right? The Microsoft terminal, just in case, and it has panes now, so that's why I'm showing off. But anyway, so I did get Meshery CTL through Git clone. I didn't went through the curl thing. I didn't know, so I did clone the project today. And I did simply the Meshery CTL here. I did the makefile, right? I run the makefile, which is just a Go build. So, but the curl script will be really nice, I guess. Then Meshery. Sorry, I know that the last time maybe it's better like that. So you can read, right?
Yeah.
All right. So I just have like two feedbacks, but first let me know what I could like run maybe that is new.
Yeah. If assuming this is a recent build, which it probably
from today.
Yeah, it's just the only reason I question it is because we would have accidentally checked in Meshery CTL, the binary, and so it probably is a late build. If you were to do, even if you already have Meshery running, or if you were to do a Meshery start or a Meshery stop.
Yeah, so that will work actually, but I just want to show a first thing. I don't know if it has been corrected. I don't know. Okay. So if I just do a Meshery start, I cheated. I will explain why. Just let me clear first. Okay. So Meshery CTL start. It will fail actually. Without anything, and the reason is because it didn't found Docker Compose. So thanks to the status, actually, I can know exactly what happened. So like I said, I cheated, so I have Docker Compose here already. It's just that the first time I run it, and there was no error message except with the status. So now when I will do start, it will start very fast. I actually already started it before, so we don't have the download of the how do you say, the download of the images, and potentially, yeah, this works. By the way, the XDG open works. Sorry, I had already like a Firefox open. So I'm running no more on K3D or K3S this time around, because I really wanted to test like in a Kubernetes maybe a full-fledged. So I installed the micro key K8S from Ubuntu, like the snap file, which we can run snaps on WSL2 too. So just that everyone is aware, as you can see, it's Microsoft kernel. So it's always funny.
That is funny.
Anyway, so anyway, let me, oops. Okay, and here we have, oh, the same bug as the last time. It was working before, funny. Let me go, what was it? Can I know like the IP? Maybe, let me see. Meshery CTL status now.
Yeah, and so
Hey, this one, right? This is the right port.
locally, yeah. If you're on the box that Meshery, the images are running, then yeah.
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
I'm using like
and it'll be
HTTP. Yeah. All right. Okay. So let me try again. It was just working. Demo time.
Yeah. No, I totally know. Okay.
Alrighty. Okay. So here we go. So props. I like to send props, so I'm not just a guy that complains. I'm also when it works. So props to the automation here. It auto detects what I'm running. With K3S, it was a little bit weird, but I guess Meshery now reads the .cube config.
Yeah.
Maybe you can. Yeah, I guess. So it could detect directly that, okay, I'm on a micro K8S. Grafana, it's running Grafana, but I didn't plug it in right now. And here are the adapters. So that was where I was the last time. And like I posted towards Girish, I know that Anand also saw it, but I posted like a tweet this week about running CTL, Meshery, and Istio, which I will do right now. With or without, I don't know.
With.
What is the fastest?
With. I think it's a equally as speedy either way.
Okay, and now let me do something here, because all the points was that I actually did a watch on the kubectl, and we should start seeing maybe what's happening.
Oh yeah.
Istio, yeah. So they are being deployed the whole way.
Nice.
So we can see everything that is automated, which is like incredible for me.
Yeah.
We had a chat earlier with Lee, but where I was asking if I was in these calls if I was the only one that didn't know service mesh, actually, that I was just clicking my way through. So
no, that is the 99.5% of the world is in the same boat with you. I mean, yeah.
Okay, I like that then.
Yeah.
All right, so I think it will take some time, but I don't know if you wanted to showcase maybe something else in Meshery CTL,
yeah,
or my version, maybe, I don't know.
So there's a couple things to chat about. One is that when we had looked at moving over to Meshery CTL, immediately the user experience wasn't as nice as when we were just using a bash script, the Meshery bash script. And we just weren't being as verbose as we should be. I think you might have even highlighted that. We weren't being as verbose as we should be, and showing you the fact that you're downloading containers, that they're starting. And then even when you go to, so not that you want to execute it now, but when you do a Meshery CTL stop as well, it will be verbose and show you that something's happening, that containers are stopping. It also, one of the core things that Anand had worked on and is included now in the latest release of Meshery CTL is the notion that so when Meshery CTL executes the XDG open, when it opens the user's default browser and brings them into the Meshery UI, it was many times when someone would do Meshery CTL start, it would execute so quickly, it would initialize starting the Meshery containers, and in parallel, it would pull up the user's browser, and often Meshery wasn't actually ready to present in the UI. And so they would have a bad experience where the browser would come up and it would be, broken, a 404 or something. And so what Anand had included in this latest release is to wait to open the user's browser until Meshery itself is started, which takes between 2 and 5 seconds or something. But it was enough of a time difference that people were having a bad experience. So actually, in many respects, when you did Meshery CTL start, you demoed the fact that Meshery was there and ready to go.
Yeah. But I didn't really, because I mean, maybe it was too fast already, but I didn't really face maybe this issue even before. So, I mean, Meshery for me was already ready almost all the time. The point was like this here that is deployed successfully, and especially the application, are, let's say, the more that I was like, is it working? Not. How do I manage it? Or how do I monitor it? Because suddenly it says like it's deployed, or it's, and then I try some URL or I try something, and then it was not really deployed. Actually, it was being deployed, right? So here now, I think all the messages come with like a nice timing, like you said.
Yeah.
So the experience is really like, okay, when it says successfully deployed, then I know I can consume it already.
So Nikhil did improve this experience, but Nikhil, actually, of what we're just seeing on Nuno's screen, we need to, if you would, can you take an issue, and the issue would be to fix the coloring, to make that coloring like bright, green, because it's a successful operation.
You need to change the color to green, right?
Yes.
When the operation is completed and is successfully executed.
Correct.
Okay, sir.
Awesome. And then actually, Nikhil had improved the experience where, like right now, Nuno, if you were to run validate down in the lower left-hand corner, if you were to run the collection of vetters, when you click that, you should see a blue color. Yeah, there it is, a blue colored operation executing notice that should now be less confusing, because just because you click the button and Meshery is performing work doesn't mean that the work is done. So that blue notification is helpful. It's just the quick one that you saw just before these came back. So.
Yeah, but it's I saw it a bit better. Again, this is Firefox running on the how do you say, on WSL through X window. So, but when I was using maybe Edge Chromium, I saw all the buttons like blue and stuff. So I saw the interface.
Oh, okay. and then part of what you're demoing now is the fact that, oh, well, let me see if I can get it right, that you've got WSL2, you're running WSL2. Within that environment, you're running a micro K8s.
Yes.
And also you're running Meshery in that environment pointed at that micro K8s.
Yeah, exactly. Let me just do something like that. If I just do a Docker PS, you will see. Okay, it's the same as Docker Meshery status, right? But
Yeah.
we can see that Docker is running and Docker version. It will be a bit complicated here, but you can see that it's Linux running on Linux right now.
Oh, man.
Hey, I have a stupid question. Can I ask?
Yeah.
Okay, just curious about state management in Meshery. Can we preserve the state and next time it just gets to that state?
That's a great question, and there's been Garish, do you want to speak to the recent enhancements that you've done in using Docker volumes?
So one of the things we recently did was that, like, all the config changes in Meshery that are happening earlier, the way it was that, like, they were not persisted. They would be just persisted in the sessions and then later discarded. So which means the next time you log in, like, you'll have to configure everything from start. Like, I mean, it'll only take 2 minutes, but then, like, now what we have done is we are actually persisting that in a Docker volume so that, like, it will be persisted across restarts, across upgrades without any issues. But I mean, like, so that is our first step towards getting into preserving state for the user session. Now, if your question is actually more specifically about keeping a state about, like, what was installed and what was not, and things like that, like, we are actually venturing into that area eventually. So that is definitely in our plan. We are getting there. So Ramesh, is that your specific question?
To some extent, also wanted to see about all the containers, where they were, then to come to that particular stage, how much memory would it take depending upon, what process we have. Like, how do you manage it actually?
Right.
You mean all managing the containers, running Meshery suite, or are you talking about the containers running on the Kubernetes cluster?
Just on the Kubernetes, what are all the containers? We'll have some sidecars to give you properties and all this stuff. But yeah, so preserving some state where next time you go, you don't have to do all the things that you did.
Yeah, nice. I think that there are probably two things in there. The one of them is that it might be that the last time that, because this has been a recent change, the last time that Ramesh has run Meshery, it was like, hey, every time that you go to bring up Meshery, it would more or less ask you to sign in. And that kind of gets annoying after a while because you've got to reestablish your session and you've got to reconfigure the environment. You've got to kind of point Meshery to each of its adapters, and you've got to load up your kube config and yeah, there's been some persistence that where the Meshery is now using, and it's a Docker volume that it's using to persist your user configuration, to persist the configuration of your environment, so that if Nuno were to close his browser and open it back up and go back to Meshery, it should do a couple of things. One, it should not ask him to re-authenticate. Two, it should not ask him to upload his kube config or connect to the adapters. That information should have been persisted and improving the user experience there. So great. And then I think the second piece of what you're talking about, Ramesh, is like, well, hey, so to the extent that Meshery is managing service meshes, it might be nice to, while after it provisions a service mesh, it might be nice to have a view, so some data, whether it's visual or what have you, of where all of that specific service mesh's components are, how much footprint its control plane is using in its sidecars. So that information, the memory and CPU overhead of the sidecars and of the control plane. It is available in Meshery now. It is not. It is visually available through performance charts. It is not visually available, and I was going to say Nuno can show you, but I'll hold off on that. It is not. It would be ideal if it was also available visually in a bit of a different way. And so, Ramesh, I think you're headed towards a good place. That's something that the project needs is when, like, if Nuno, if you were to navigate to the Istio adapter, yeah. Oh yeah, sorry, you're already there. It should say, it should tell you like, hey, you've got Istio deployed because you just deployed it through here, so it should show that back to you. You've got it deployed. You did a with authentication, with TLS deployment, and it should show you some details. And it doesn't today, but Ramesh, it needs to. So I'm eyeballing.
Cool. Yeah, you answered my question. Thank you.
I don't know if you could feel it, Ramesh, but I was sort of eyeballing you when I was saying, it needs to.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
But back to you, Nuno.
Yeah, actually, that was an excellent question because okay, not about the state of the configuration and inside Kubernetes, but more like here when I reconnect, I mean, there's no visuals about what I have actually, like maybe a greenish or I don't know, like a small check mark, or changing the dash to a check mark also.
Exactly.
About the one like I have already. But yeah, I mean,
no, totally.
Other else, pretty.
More than that, Meshery is intended to manage not only heterogeneous meshes, I mean, so not only different types of meshes, but also multiple deployments of the same type of mesh. And when you visit, right now, you're sitting on the Meshery Istio adapter page, and the UI assumes that you're only going to interface with one Istio deployment. That the UI needs to be augmented to let you move between environments. So the concept and the construct of an environment is yet to be created. And so very much so, you need to be able to kind of move between environments, move between specific service mesh deployments.
Okay, so just for the sake of time also, and for the others, I don't want to take too much more. Let me just delete then and show the deletion also, okay, of the service mesh. Okay, yeah, another point, like when it's, how do you say, installed, if we could have like either the preferred or just see, tell me which one I had installed. Maybe I will forget, or maybe a team member will need to find it out. So
totally.
Again, it's just small details.
No, it's yeah. To me, it highlights that Meshery is only so intelligent. I mean, like it needs to be more intelligent to be cognizant of the state of the cluster, the state of the mesh.
So I guess it's like killing the pod and everything, yeah, terminating. And here, which is nice, is like nothing tells me that it has ended, and now I have the small one again. I swear that it was blue on the Windows browsers, so don't sweat too much. This is a specific one. So, and now I can say Istio is removed, and I can tell, okay, nobody saw the last one, but I can tell that yes, it's removed. So that's cool.
That's awesome.
All right, and finally, I won't go much more, but if I go to Linkerd, when I was like installing it, then it would like fail like almost instantly with K3s. So here it might not be the case. I don't know. No, it is. Yeah. So Linkerd and console, they can the console that like stops. Again, I'm in a special environment. I do not maybe represent too much people out there yet, but yeah, on WSL2 for now with two different Kubernetes clusters, being micro K8s and the K3s. I actually face exactly the same issue. So we might want maybe to move that out into a debug session, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Girish, what would be the most helpful in terms of the logs here?
All right.
Look at the Meshery Linkerd adapter logs. They will actually tell you the story. And I'm pretty sure, there is a bug. I think I had noted it somewhere, but I probably, did not create a bug. I'll see if I can actually find it because I remember seeing this issue not long back, just very recently. So I'm pretty sure, issue was open. If not, I'll actually open an issue and we can actually start the investigation. So yeah,
Okay. Yeah, let's have just maybe outside conversation, so like you can, let's say, direct me to the correct logs and everything. But yeah, so any more than that, I think it's really working kind of fine. I really liked again, my the Istio just worked. So the application also worked. I didn't show it today, but it worked also. Yeah, I think it's really easy for me as a non service mesh person, I would say, to actually get something running. Meaning for workshops, meaning for learning, even maybe with your book, it's actually for me the perfect match for the perfect mesh, but the perfect match to follow along, because we can get something running on a local computer quite easily, and
Yeah, it's a really good point that, and back to Ramesh's point about workshops. So this is maybe something I should have brought up with the community earlier, particularly as all of us, myself included, are just continuing to learn more about individual meshes and their differences and how they work. And that of the workshop material that is that we do have posted, it does we created Meshery. Like half of the reason we created it was to help people understand meshes. And so the workshop that we take people through, it's specific, it's Istio centered, but it needs to be changed a bit. It needs to do exactly what Nuno said, which is it needs to be updated to have people first and foremost download Meshery and use Meshery to walk through and understand different meshes and what they do. And so I'm going to post a link to the workshop in the chat and in the meeting minutes, and then begin to maybe create some issues and highlight where the workshop could be augmented to include Meshery. And I think it's a great way, if you guys contribute to it, a great way to learn as you're helping build out a workshop that others will learn from. Of course, if you do that, you're going to have to, I think we have profile shots of most of you. But like actually, Raul, as you're joining in, we're going to need a picture of you because I'm going to be putting all of your pictures in. Well, I already have, but putting your pictures in slides, and Grish is putting them in slides, and I want to make sure you guys are recognized for what goes on. So.
Yeah, I'll get a professional one, or at least one decent.
Well, that would be good because that would up level the rest of them. Because nice. Well, and so Harshini has joined, and I missed it earlier, but Harshini, I know we were talking about kind of the state of the NSM adapter. So for everyone else, the NSM adapter is the network service mesh. It's another mesh. And Harshini, I think you were saying did you want to bring everyone up to speed on the current progress of the adapter?
Hey, hi.
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. It is that. So after deployment, in order to access the certain services, the NSC, that is the network service client, should be up and running, but that is not yet initialized. So that is the problem I'm facing.
Okay, a bug in the NSM client then. This is NSM's Go client?
No, not that one. That was the issue related to the network service mesh.
Okay.
Not the one here.
Oh, okay. So is this the bug or is it a different one?
Yeah, this was the bug.
Okay.
Certain pods were not running. When you see,
Good. So we're not the only project that can't get themselves deployed. Okay. Okay. Got it. It looks like at least there's hope that they're working on it and will fix it. But yeah, that's kind of that really makes it hard to advance on the adapter when you can't get NSM installed. You know. Okay. It may. Yeah. Does NSM have any kind of a UI?
no.
Okay. Very good. One thing that might actually, and Harshini, if you're up for this, I think I would certainly learn something. Either next week or the following week, is to, whether you're doing it through Meshery or just standalone, is to kind of introduce, is to do the smallest of demos of NSM, or just like a cloud native function. I'm sorry, a cloud network function being deployed or running, or I don't know if that would help you in your learning or not.
Yeah.
And if it's entirely too uncomfortable and kind of just distracts you, then you don't have to take up the request. But just I'll put it out there in case it gives you the right level of encouragement to go do it. So.
Okay.
All right. Okay, that's great. That's good. Okay. Yeah. So Subham, I know you were going to show off the new integration that you'd created between GitHub Actions and the Meshery Slack, where anyone who stars Meshery on GitHub you'll see a notification of that in our Slack channel. I don't know if you're in a position where you can do such a demo. If you want, I can share Slack here. And if you're able to maybe star and unstar or something, people could see the fact that that notification comes through. And so I'm going to share. Okay, great. So Subham's going to do a demonstration for us. So I'm sharing my my Slack client, which has more Slack accounts than anyone should ever have. It looks nice and colorful. And so if you're not familiar, there's a Meshery channel and there's a Meshery notifications channel. And the notifications is it's just sort of all the activities. Anyone's welcome to be in the channel, and I think most of you are, and just keeps you abreast of activity across the repositories. One of the activities that we had a really hard time getting to was this one right here that Subham just demonstrated. So Subham has, using GitHub Actions, created an integration with our Slack channel, and specifically the Meshery notifications channel. So anytime that someone stars Meshery, there's just a small notification that happens here. And this is great. He's going to see if in the future, if he can't enhance it to call out their username or something like that. But that feels great to me. It should feel great to all of you that when that happens. And part of the reason, or a big reason why we're tracking number of stars on GitHub is it's one of the prerequisites to getting Meshery adopted into the CNCF. So we'd like to get Meshery into the CNCF, and the sort of the minimum requirement there. There's a bunch of requirements, but one of those is having 100 stars. So we are 22 stars away. So tell your friends, tell them they need to come star this, and once we get past 100, and once we get to a point where the project itself is, really usable, and some of the feedback that Nuno is giving is spot on in terms of a couple of additional features that would make Meshery so much more valuable to people. Once those are there, we'll look to get it into the CNCF, and you guys will be a part of, well, hopefully an amazing journey. But I would say if and when we cross that threshold, you better hold on to your hats, because you're going to see a lot more uptick on people using it, contributors coming, etc. So I guess the point is, tell your friends to start. I guess tell them about the project and to use your code. So thanks for that, Subham. A couple of items in the chat. Okay, so Nuno had to go. Very good. Okay. Anybody have anything else before we close for the day? Did we miss anything in the meeting minutes? Oh,
Did you want to mention about the do you want to mention anything about the Kuma adapter?
Yeah.
A skeleton for it now.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I hope you guys have heard about Kuma, which is actually a new service mesh from the Kong folks, and we just created a new repository for an adapter for a Kuma adapter. It is still in it's a skeleton right now, but then hopefully we're looking forward to the contributors to actually contribute a Kuma adapter. Yeah, I think we already spoke about Kuma last week, because I think that's about the time when they announced Kuma. That was one other thing that is of interest. The other thing which I actually wanted, I think Nuno's already gone, but I think there is an action item which he I think wanted to talk about, which is the Porter CNAB package for Meshery. So there was one other topic where we are trying to eventually use a CNAB package for Meshery. And Nuno was actually looking at building one using Porter. If you guys know what those are, eventually those will be available as a Docker app, I think. So that's kind of another effort which Nuno was working on. Since he had to leave, he couldn't talk about it, unfortunately, but he did have it as an item in the meeting minutes for us to discuss. One other tiny thing, it's almost time, is actually the cluster-wide metrics and the per node metrics. So earlier, we in Meshery, we did add support for kind of a server metrics, but it was actually showing. I had a dummy placeholder there because we hadn't finalized on the metrics. So this week, we actually finalized on two sets of metrics. One is a cluster-wide metrics and a per node metrics. And right now, I would say as of today, if you actually try out Meshery, you will actually see those changes in Meshery, which is you'll see cluster-wide metrics and the per node metrics on the same page. Eventually, we will be working on improving the UX, but that's pretty much it. Yeah, so he's trying to present that.
Yeah.
Are you?
Well, yeah, I'm not. I should have been connected to our VPN before I tried.
Oh, no worries. Actually, I think I can show.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I am actually connected to the VPN.
So I've got it. It's up. Here we go.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, go ahead. Go ahead. I have to search for it right now.
Thanks. Just to demo very briefly what Garish just said is that back to Ramesh, one of Ramesh's questions about like, hey, what's going on in the cluster and how much resources are these different meshes taking up? And that under the performance tab now, there are, as long as you connect Grafana or Prometheus, you will, Meshery will pull back a lot of statistics about that overhead, and it will show you, a bit of what's going on in the cluster. And in the case of, I'm using Istio as an example. There's an Istio performance dashboard, which will show you what the proxies are using, the sidecars, what some of the control plane components are using.
Lee, you're not sharing.
Oh, I'm not sharing. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Am I presenting? What am I presenting? The wrong thing, huh?
No, you're not presenting anything. I don't see anything presenting.
But sorry, I was seeing it, Lee.
Oh, you were? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, there it is.
And it'll also show, like in this case of Istio, it'll show you the resource consumption per Istio control plane component, which is, or consumption, and then how many of them are running, whether they're up. So cool. So go nuts on these stats. It's pretty neat. Okay, we're at the top of the hour. It's nice. I'm glad everybody came today. This is great. Raul, we'll be in touch about the build and release functions.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Lee.
Thanks, guys.
Great. Bye-bye. See you guys.
Thank you.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.